Hey guys, I'm Rhett with Section 8 Real Estate Investing. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave your questions and comments. I'll get to every single one of them. All right, today's topic is a scary one. When I first started getting into real estate investing, I heard about squatters' rights, and I said, well, that can't be true. I started doing my research and started finding out that it was very true. So for you new investors who are getting into real estate for the first time, this is very, very important for you. For you seasoned investors, it's very scary and you've probably already shut this video off because you don't want to hear about it again. But nonetheless, it's incredibly important. Now, squatters' rights. First of all, what's a squatter? Well, a squatter is somebody who basically moves into a property illegally, with or without the owner's knowledge. Now, what does this mean? Well, they break into your vacation house. They break into a house that you're rehabbing, that maybe you're taking a break, rehabbing it for the winter. It could be a property that you came into possession of through a will or probate, that it's out of state, maybe you haven't been to it. There's a lot of different ways somebody could illegally get into your property and live there, with or without your knowledge. That's very important, okay? Now, when a squatter breaks into that property, the clock begins. It's incredibly important that you do some things to make sure you protect yourself. Now, why is that? Well, here's where things get crazy. If you don't take the proper steps, the squatter in that property can take adverse possession of that property. Meaning what? Well, they can become the new owners of that property. Yes, that's true. Now, let's go over it a little bit more in detail. Number one, squatting is illegal. It is illegal to break into somebody's home. It is illegal to trespass on their property. It is illegal to live somewhere with or without the owner's knowledge if they do not have consent. Okay? That's number one. Number two, adverse possession, meaning a squatter can take possession of that property, okay? If they live there for a certain amount of time, if they do certain things, if they keep the property up, right? If they mow the lawn, if they pay the taxes on the property, if they're paying bills for the property, okay? I'm talking slow and I'm wide-eyed because this is very scary. I'm making sure you guys understand this because it's incredibly important. You don't want to lose that beautiful house, that vacation house, right? You don't want to lose that house that you're rehabbing and maybe you don't have the funds right now, so you're taking a break for a couple months. Well, maybe the day you stop working on it, somebody broke in and is living there and starts taking over, okay? You don't want that. Now, when someone breaks into a property and starts squatting in that property, this is also mind-blowing. There are some things as the property owner that you're not allowed to do. You cannot intimidate the person moving in there, okay? Which means you can't go in there and tell them that you're gonna come in there with a team of 20 people and drag them out by their feet. You can't do that. You can't threaten them, okay? You can't show up with a shotgun and tell them to get out of your house. You can't change the locks when they're in the door. You can't show up with a locksmith and have the locks changed. You can't do that. And you can't shut the utilities off if they have the utilities turned on. Now, a lot of times, houses that are being squatted in, I say a lot of times, most times, don't have the utilities turned on. You know, a lot of times maybe they're winterized properties, vacation homes in Maine, vacation homes down the Cape. If it's a rehab property, you probably don't have the water on. The electric probably isn't on. The gas probably isn't hooked up. But in some of these other places, it's ready to be hooked up. Somebody squatting there can call and have the service turned on in their name, okay? So if they do that, you can't shut the utilities off. It's crazy. Now, the biggest part of this, and the laws are different in every single state, right? So in some states, if a squatter is in a home for 5 years and pays taxes for a percentage of that, they can go for an adverse possession claim on that property, meaning they can basically take you to court and show that they're the ones that should own that property, even though they haven't bought it or anything like that. Other states, it's 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. It depends where you live, guys. All you investors should look into this in your state or where you invest. But a lot of times it's coupled with time, okay? Time that they've been illegally living at that property. What they've done, have they provided improvements to the property? Have they kept the property nice? Have they mowed the grass? Have they paid taxes at all? Have they paid bills, right? That is all gonna come into play. So how are some ways that we can kind of thwart this so we don't even have to deal with it, right? The most important things are, guys, secure your properties, okay? Don't go a long time without knowing who's at your property, okay? Don't assume just because it's broken down and you're in the middle of a rehab that nobody's gonna move in. Don't assume that just because you winterized your lake house that nobody's gonna, and you're not gonna be there for 7 months, don't assume that nobody's gonna move in, okay? Pay your taxes, all right? Pay your taxes every year. You make sure you pay them. So every year in your tax bill, it says you, the owner, paid them, or the LLC that you own the property through pays the taxes every year. You don't want to give anybody the ability to claim a property that you own. And if you find out someone is in that property, you need to immediately begin documenting everything that happens, right? So for example, we'll run out a scenario. I have a property and we're waiting to get a renter in it. Somebody breaks in and they decide, you know what, this is mine, I'm gonna live here. Step number 1, call the police. Okay, someone's trespassing in my property, they're not allowed to be there, they're illegally in my property, all right? Police show up, maybe something crazy happens, the police can't get in, the person's sitting in there in the living room with their feet up watching TV, right? Police go, hey, you have a squatter in the house, we can't get in, they barricaded the door. What next, right? Call your attorney, make sure it's all documented. You'll be able to get that person out of the home, but you have to make sure it's documented, right? We're talking about how to avoid adverse possession here, okay? That is our main goal, all right? If someone breaks in and tries to steal your home legally, that's what we're trying to avoid. So calling the police, keeping records of everything. We've talked about that in other videos, guys, the importance of that, keeping records on everything. And get an attorney involved, okay? If you know somebody squatting in your property, and maybe it's been 8 months since you found out, maybe they've been living in there 8 months and you don't know what to do, right? Still call the police, call an attorney. It's time to start moving to get this person out. But let's avoid that, okay, in the first place. Let's put cameras up at the house, okay? Let's have Ring cameras if you guys don't want to do big, expensive security systems. Let's have rehab cameras, okay, that you can buy. So during a rehab, you can see what's going on, all right? Very, very popular in today's day, so people aren't stealing stuff from construction sites. Let's have good quality locks. We've talked about that. Good locks, good doors, good windows. Don't skimp out on that stuff, guys, okay? And just go to your properties. If you don't have that stuff, and maybe you live out of state, befriend the neighborhood, right? If you are friends with the neighbors, they're gonna look out for your property. If you don't get along with your neighbors, they're not gonna care, okay? So let's avoid adverse possession. Let's make sure that we don't have any squatters, all right? And let's avoid this whole thing. But if it does happen, take the right precautions, call the police, document everything, call an attorney. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Leave your questions and comments below. I'll make sure I get to all of them. Stay tuned. Thanks, guys.